Usually we take a topic, we swim around the surface a little bit, maybe we snorkel, we look at the pretty fish. Today,
Yeah.
forget the snorkel. We are strapping on the heavy gear. We are going all the way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
We are indeed. And we're doing it with a book that I think qualifies, without, much hyperbole,
Yeah.
as perhaps the most controversial, divisive, and just fascinating title published in the last 25 years.
Oh, absolutely. I've been looking forward to this one and honestly, a little terrified of it.
As you should be.
We are talking about The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And look, before we even crack the spine, we have to address the elephant in the room. This book, it has a reputation that precedes it by about 10 miles.
It does. It has a very distinct aura. On one hand, it's been called the psychopath's Bible.
Right.
It is literally banned in certain U.S. prison systems. Wardens are terrified that if inmates read it, they'll gain too much tactical leverage over the guards and manipulate the entire prison hierarchy.
That is a ringing endorsement if I've ever heard one. Too dangerous for prison.
Exactly. But then you flip the coin, and this same book is a staple on the nightstands of hip-hop moguls like 50 Cent and Jay-Z. It's read by Fortune 500 CEOs. It's practically a textbook in Hollywood talent agencies. It is the book that, everyone reads, but very few people want to admit they are reading.
It's the anti-book of virtues.
That is the perfect description. Most leadership books you pick up at the airport are all about transparency, collaboration, bring your whole self to work. Honesty is the best policy. Robert Greene looks at history, 3,000 years of it, and says, that's cute.
That's cute.
But actually, the people who really won, the people who built empires and held thrones, they were manipulative, they were secretive, and they were utterly ruthless.
It assumes a Hobbesian world. That idea that life is nasty, brutish, and short, and we are all trapped in a perpetual war of all against all.
Precisely. Greene's core premise is that we are all playing a game of power, whether we admit it or not. You can say, oh, I'm not ambitious, I'm just doing my job. But Greene would argue that you can opt out of the game, but you cannot opt out of the consequences of the game.
So if you're naive, you're just lunch.
Your lunch, you will be eaten. So our mission today is a marathon. We aren't just picking the top 5 highlights. We're going to equip you with the full manual. We're going through all 48 laws.
It's going to be a wild ride. It's a manual for dominance or, I guess, defense, whichever you need. But hey, listen, I have to interrupt us for 1 second here because this is crucial.
Go for it.
If you are the kind of person who is listening to this right now, if you love digging into dense, heavy-hitting books like The 48 Laws of Power and you want to really master this kind of knowledge, you absolutely need to subscribe to Book Biters.
Oh, yeah. It's the best resource out there for this kind of thing.
Seriously. If you want to keep your edge, you need a constant stream of these insights. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, search for Book Biters, and hit that subscribe button. It is the best place for more podcasts, more book summaries, and just expanding your mental library. Don't just listen to this one and stop. Go subscribe to Book Biters now so you don't miss out on what's coming next.
Highly recommended. It's a goldmine. Now, shall we open the manual?
Let's do it. We're breaking this down into sections to keep our heads from spinning. Let's start with the foundation. Laws 1 through 5. These seem to be the absolute basics of survival in any hierarchy.
They are. And Law 1 is the golden rule of power dynamics. If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Never outshine the master.
This one feels like it burns people constantly in the corporate world. You get hired because you're smart, right?
Yeah.
So you try to show off how smart you are, thinking that's how you get promoted.
And suddenly you find yourself frozen out. The core concept here is that those above you, your boss, your mentor, the CEO, they need to feel secure in their position. They have egos. If you display too much talent or you're too charming, you don't inspire gratitude. You inspire fear and insecurity.
It's the intern who fixes the spreadsheet that the manager spent a week on and does it in 5 minutes. The intern thinks, look at me, I'm efficient.
And the manager's thinking, this kid is coming for my job.
Right. This kid makes me look obsolete.
And that intern thinks they're getting a promotion. In reality, they're getting marginalized. They're being put on projects that go nowhere. Power requires security. If you threaten that security, you will be eliminated. The strategy is to make your masters appear more brilliant than they actually are.
So even if you are smarter, you have to hide it.
You hide it, you let them take the credit, make them feel like the sun, and you are just a planet orbiting them. That is how you attain power. You make them dependent on your hidden talents.
Stroke the ego to survive. Got it. Okay, Law 2 is a bit of a paradox, I think. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
This runs counter to everything we're taught. We think, I'll hire my best friend, we'll trust each other, it'll be great. Greene says that's a fatal error.
Why, though? What's the logic?
Friends are prone to envy. It's a subtle poison.
Yeah.
They feel entitled to your success because of your emotional bond. They see your rise, and they think, well, I'm just as smart as they are, why not me?
So they'll betray you quicker than anyone else?
That's quicker.
Yeah.
Because the dynamic is emotional, not transactional. They expect favors, they get lazy. An enemy, on the other hand.
An enemy sounds stressful.
But an enemy has something to prove. Greene uses the example of Abraham Lincoln. When he built his cabinet during the Civil War, he didn't fill it with his buddies. He filled it with his rivals. Men who had publicly opposed him, called him names, thought he was a joke.
There's that famous line, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?
Exactly. A former enemy who you bring into the fold will be more loyal than a friend because they know they're on thin ice. They have to work for it. They have to prove their worth every single day. You turn a threat into a powerful asset.
Fascinating. Okay, Law 3. Conceal your intentions. This is the classic smokescreen law.
Right. It's so simple, but so effective. If people know what you're trying to do, they can prepare a defense. They can block you. They can undermine you.
So the goal is to talk endlessly about your goals.
Just not your real goals.
Right. You set up a decoy.
Kierkegaard had that great quote, "The world wants to be deceived." And it's true. If you appear open and chatty, people mistake that for honesty. You lead them down the wrong path, throw up a smokescreen of, say, a fake ambition, and by the time they realize what you're actually up to,
It's too late. You've already won.
it's too late. You never want to show your hand until the chips are already on the table and you've won the pot.
Which leads perfectly into Law 4. Always say less than necessary.
This is one of my favorites because it's so actionable and so powerful. The more you speak, the more common you appear. You lose your mystique. And more practically, the more likely you are to say something stupid.
Something you can't take back.
Exactly. There's that famous story about Henry Kissinger and Winston Lord.
Oh, it's classic. Tell it.
So, Winston Lord was a speechwriter and diplomat under Kissinger. He spends days writing this incredibly detailed report. He hands it in, very proud of it. Kissinger keeps it for a day, sends it back with a single note. Is this the best you can do?
Ouch.
So Lord, he's crushed. He rewrites it, polishes it, sweats over it, sends it back. Same thing. A day later, the report comes back. Is this the best you can do?
This happens, what, 3 or 4 times?
Multiple times. Finally, Lord just snaps. He marches into Kissinger's office and says, "Damn it, yes, it's the best I can do." And Kissinger just looks at him over his glasses and says, "Fine, then I guess I'll read it this time."
That is just brutal, but incredibly effective.
It is, but look at the power dynamic. Kissinger's silence extracted maximum effort without him doing any work at all. Silence makes other people uncomfortable. They rush to fill the void, and in doing so, they reveal information or make concessions they didn't intend to make. Power is often found in what you don't say.
Okay, rounding out the foundation. Law 5. So much depends on reputation guard with your life.
Reputation is the cornerstone of power. If you have a reputation for being formidable or efficient or, even ruthless, you can win battles without even fighting. People are afraid to cross you because of what they think you are.
It precedes you into the room.
It does all the work for you. But if you lose it
You're vulnerable. You're open to attack from all sides.
completely, once your reputation is tainted, you are constantly on the defensive. The strategy here is twofold. Thwart attacks on your own reputation before they even happen, and this is the nasty part, destroy your enemies by opening holes in their reputations.
You don't even have to lie sometimes. You just ask a question. Is it true that...
I heard a rumor. And then you stand back and let public opinion do the hanging. You don't even have to get your hands dirty. You just poke a hole in their image and let the world tear them apart.
Okay, let's move to part 2. This seems to be all about perception and appearance. Law 6 through 10. And Law 6 seems to contradict what we just said about concealing intentions. Law 6 is court attention at all cost.
It does seem like a contradiction, but it's about context. It's about knowing which mask to wear and when. Law 6 says it is better to be attacked and slandered than ignored. You want to be a magnet for attention.
The Pablo Picasso strategy.
Right. Picasso was a master of this. He would change his style dramatically just to upset the public, to keep them talking. He knew that being predictable was death for an artist. He wanted people confused, arguing, discussing him. He never let himself fade into the background.
So the idea is conceal your specific intentions, your real goals, but make sure everyone is looking at you while you do it.
Exactly. Be the spectacle. If you are little and gray and timid, you'll be forgotten and trampled. You have to stand out, even if it's controversial. Which leads right into Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit.
This is the one that makes people grind their teeth. It just feels so fundamentally unfair.
It's the godlike aura of efficiency. Think about it. If you were doing all the legwork yourself, you look tired. You look like a laborer.
Yeah.
But if you have a team of people doing the work and you simply put your name on the final polished product, you look like a genius, a visionary.
It's ruthless, but Greene's argument is that the people doing the work are often invisible anyway. The credit naturally flows to the top.
And if you don't grab it, someone else will. History rarely remembers the army of assistants who did the research for a great book. It remembers the name on the spine. Power understands this.
Law 8 is about control, about geography almost. Make other people come to you, use bait if necessary.
This is about controlling the terrain, both literally and figuratively. When you make someone come to you, they are abandoning their plans and reacting to yours. You force them onto the defensive from the very start.
You're making them play on your turf.
On your terms. Like Otto von Bismarck, the great German statesman. He was a master of this. He wouldn't shoot at the first deer that walked by. He'd bait the field, put out some grain, and wait for the whole herd to gather.
Let them get comfortable.
Let them get comfortable, and then he would act. When you force your opponent to move, to act, to come to you, you control the dynamic. You want them expending energy to reach you, so they are exhausted and disoriented when they finally arrive.
Law 9 is one I think everyone should learn for their daily life. Win through your actions, never through argument.
Oh, this is a huge one for anyone in a relationship or a corporate job. Arguments create resentment. Even if you win the logic, you lose the person. You create a lingering bitterness that will come back to bite you.
And the Michelangelo story is the perfect example here.
The nose of the David statue, right? The patron, a politician named Soderini, comes in and says, the nose of this statue is too big. Now, Michelangelo knows the nose is perfect. He's a genius. He could argue. He could show in the blueprints, the anatomical drawings.
But that would just make Soderini feel stupid?
Exactly, which is a violation of Law 1. So instead, he climbs up the scaffold with a chisel and a handful of marble dust hidden in his palm. He pretends to tap away at the nose, letting the dust he already had in his hand fall to the ground. He doesn't touch the statue at all.
And Soderini looks up at it and says, "Ah, much better. You've made it come alive."
Michelangelo kept his masterpiece intact, and the patron walked away happy, feeling like he contributed. He won through a demonstration, not an argument. No resentment, total victory.
And Law 10 is a pretty stark warning. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky.
This one sounds cruel, doesn't it? But Greene argues that emotional states are as infectious as diseases. There are people who are perpetually victims, not because of bad luck, but because of their own destructive patterns of thought and action.
They're carriers of misfortune.
They are. And if you try to help them, you don't pull them up, they pull you down into their vortex of misery.
So you get dragged into their drama, their crises.
Their debt, their emotional baggage. The advice is cold, but practical. Associate with the happy and the fortunate. You will absorb their positive energy and, more importantly, their opportunities. You have to cut the cord on the unlucky before you catch what they have.
Okay, moving on to part 3, relationships and strategy. Laws 11 through 15. Law 11 is fascinating. Learn to keep people dependent on you.
This is a complete inversion of how we think about independence. We think independence means not needing anyone. Greene says real power is having everyone need you.
You want to be indispensable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's to never teach them enough so they can do without you. If you're a consultant, don't give them the whole formula. If you're a manager, keep one key skill or piece of information to yourself.
So if you are replaceable, you are vulnerable.
If you're replaceable, you're gone at the first sign of trouble. But if the machine breaks when you leave, you are secure. You want people to rely on you for their happiness and their prosperity. If the boss can't fire you because the entire department would collapse, well, then you own the boss.
Law 12 feels particularly devious. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
He calls this the Trojan horse technique. The problem with being deceptive all the time is that people's guards are up. They're naturally suspicious. But one single act of genuine honesty, or what appears to be honesty, can completely disarm them.
It's a calculated move.
A single honest move can cover up a dozen dishonest ones. You give before you take.
A timely gift, a confession of some small, harmless mistake.
Right. These things lower defenses. It creates a false sense of rapport. Once that armor is open, you can manipulate at will because they think you are one of the good ones.
Law 13 is a cold dose of reality. When asking for help, appeal to self-interest, never to mercy.
This is a mistake people make constantly, especially in their careers. They say, I helped you back in 1998, you owe me. Or please help me because I'm really struggling.
Gratitude is a burden.
It is. People hate feeling indebted. It's a heavy, awkward feeling. And they hate listening to sob stories even more. But self-interest, that is a lever that always, always works.
So don't talk about the past. Talk about the future.
Exactly. If you can show someone how helping you will make them money or make them look good to their boss or solve a problem they have, they will move mountains for you. Stop talking about your needs. Start talking about their gains.
Law 14. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy.
Information is power. It's the currency of the realm. You need to know your opponent's weaknesses, their insecurities, their secret plans. And the best way to get that isn't to break into their office. It's to ask them.
You just use friendly curiosity.
That's the perfect phrase for it.
Yeah.
In social settings, at a cocktail party, over lunch, you ask indirect questions. How do you feel about this new project? What do you think about him? People love to talk about themselves and their opinions. If you just listen like a spy, they will hand you the keys to their own destruction, and they'll think you're just being a great, empathetic listener.
Which brings us to probably the darkest law in this section, Law 15. Crush your enemy. Totally.
Yeah, Greene doesn't mince words here. He looks at history and sees a clear, brutal pattern. Stopping halfway is fatal. If you leave an enemy wounded, but still alive,
They won't be grateful. They'll recover.
they will recover. And when they recover, they will be consumed by a single desire: revenge. A wounded snake is more dangerous than a healthy one.
Now, in modern times, we aren't talking about physical elimination, obviously.
No, usually not. We're talking about removing their credibility, their platform, their ability to compete, their spirit. You have to make sure they cannot come back to haunt you. If you're going to strike, make it a knockout blow. Total victory is the only safe victory.
All right, let's take a breath and move to part 4. Presence and timing. Laws 16 through 20. Law 16 connects back to that idea of value and scarcity. Use absence to increase respect and honor.
It's the basic principle of supply and demand. If you are always there, always available, always talking, your value drops. You become common. Familiarity breeds contempt.
Like the sun. If it never rained, we'd hate the sun. We'd curse it for burning the crops.
Exactly. The rain makes us appreciate the sun. You need to withdraw strategically. Make people wonder where you are. Make them miss you. When you return, your value has increased because you were scarce. It's the rock star who disappears for 3 years between albums. The mystique builds.
Law 17 is about creating fear. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability.
Humans are pattern-seeking machines. We crave predictability. It makes us feel safe. If you are predictable, people feel like they have control over you. They can anticipate your moves. Oh, he always says yes to this, or she always gets angry about that.
So you have to break the pattern.
You have to shatter it. Do something completely out of character. Be generous when they expect you to be stingy. Be severe when they expect you to be kind. It terrifies people. They can't explain your moves, so they spend all their mental energy trying to analyze you instead of focusing on their own plans. It keeps them constantly off balance and defensive.
We are the book writers.
Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous.
This is another one that feels counterintuitive. When we feel threatened, our first instinct is to hide, to build walls, turn off the phone, retreat into our fortress. Greene says this is suicide.
Because you get cut off from information.
Right. Information is your real protection, your real fortress. If you isolate yourself, you don't know what's coming, you become a sitting duck for conspiracies and plots. You need to circulate. Be in the crowd. The crowd shields you, and more importantly, it feeds you vital intel.
Law 19 is a critical warning about reading people. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person.
Not all victims react the same way. Some people, if you cheat them or insult them, they'll get angry for a day and then move on. Others
are wolves in sheep's clothing.
They will nurse that grudge for a lifetime. They will spend all their time and energy hunting you down for revenge, even if it destroys them in the process.
So you can't rely on your first impression. You have to measure the opponent carefully.
Correct. You need to investigate. You need to know if the person you are dealing with is the type to let it go or the type to burn the world down just to get back at you. If it's the latter, do not offend them. Avoid them at all costs. It's not worth it.
And rounding out the section, Law 20. Do not commit to anyone.
The fool rushes to pick a side. I'm with Team A, I'm with Team B. It feels good, it feels righteous.
But the master stays neutral, aloof.
The master lets other people court them. Think about it. If you commit, you are immediately taken for granted by your own side and hated by the other. You lose all your leverage. But if you stay independent, you are the prize. You maintain the power because everyone is trying to win you over. You are the queen on the chessboard, not a pawn.
Okay, we are halfway through it. This is intense. Part 5, Deception and Gamesmanship. Laws 21 through 25. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker seem dumber than your mark.
This is pure ego hacking. It's brilliant. No one likes to feel stupid. If you walk into a negotiation and seem smarter than your victim, their defenses go way up.
But if you make them feel like they're the smart one,
They relax. Their ego is flattered. They think, oh, this guy is harmless. I can run circles around him. And that is precisely when you have them. If they don't suspect you of having ulterior motives, they see nothing. It's the Columbo tactic, just asking seemingly dumb questions until you catch them in a lie. Law 22 flips the script on losing. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Our culture has this obsession with fighting to the bitter end, for honor. Greene says that's often just stupid. If you are weaker and you know you're going to lose, surrender.
but isn't that just giving up, defeat?
No, it's a strategic move. It's buying time.
Yeah.
If you fight and get crushed, you're done. You're eliminated. But if you surrender, you survive. You lull the enemy into complacency. They get arrogant. And while they're celebrating their victory, you are quietly rebuilding your strength, observing their weaknesses, and waiting for their power to wane. It also infuriates a conqueror to be denied the satisfaction of a fight.
Law 23 is about focus. Concentrate your forces.
Intensity defeats extensity. It's a simple law of physics applied to power. Don't try to do everything at once. Don't flit from one shallow mine to another, hoping to strike gold. Find one rich mine and dig deep.
He uses the term fat cow, right?
Exactly. In any system, there is a key source of power. A single powerful patron, one essential skill, one main source of income. Find that fat cow and concentrate all your energy on it. Protect it. Nurture it. Focus is power. Dilution is death.
Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. This seems like a throwback.
It is, but it's more relevant than ever. The royal court is just today's corporate office. The perfect courtier is a master of manipulation, but it all looks like grace and charm. It's about mastering indirection, flattery, and making the master feel good about themselves.
The number one rule being never impugn the master's taste.
Never. If the king says the painting is beautiful, it's beautiful. You yield to superiors, but you assert your power obliquely behind the scenes. It's the art of fitting in perfectly while secretly advancing your own agenda. It's politics in its purest, most refined form.
Law 25 is a big one, especially today with personal branding. Recreate yourself.
Do not accept the role that society or your family or your boss is giving you. Oh, you're the quiet one. You're the worker bee. No. Greene says you have total agency. You can forge a new identity.
You're the author of your own story.
Exactly. And you should treat it like a creative act. Use dramatic devices. Be like an actor, assuming a role. If you don't define your own image, someone else will define it for you. And trust me, they won't make it a flattering one. Reinvent yourself as a character of power.
We are flying through these. Part 6 is image and cleanliness. Laws 26 through 30. Law 26, keep your hands clean.
This connects directly back to the courtier. You must appear to be a paragon of civility and efficiency. You are nice, you're polite, you're never the source of trouble.
But nasty work has to be done to gain power.
So you use what Greene calls cat's paws. You get someone else to do the dirty work for you. And when things inevitably go wrong, as they sometimes do, you need a scapegoat. You need someone to take the blame so your reputation remains spotless. It's Machiavellian Management 101.
Law 27 is fascinating and frankly a little scary. Play on people's need to believe, to create a cult-like following.
People are desperate for meaning. We live in a largely secular world, but that deep religious impulse is still there. If you can offer them a cause, even a vague, ill-defined one, they will flock to you.
The recipe seems to be vague promises, plus a lot of enthusiasm minus any kind of rationality.
That's the formula. You create rituals. You give them a new language. You ask for sacrifices of time or money. In the absence of traditional religion, people flock to those offering meaning. Look at crypto gurus, multi-level marketing schemes, diet fads. It's all the same psychological mechanic at play.
Law 28. Enter action with boldness.
Hesitation is a killer. It communicates doubt. If you are unsure, don't do it. Because if you act with hesitation, you create gaps and holes in your action that people can exploit.
But boldness obliterates those holes. It's a steamroller.
Everyone admires the bold. No one honors the timid. Even if you make a mistake, if you do it boldly and with conviction, people often forgive it or even view it as a confident, calculated move. Boldness creates a kind of magical authority around you.
Law 29. Plan all the way to the end.
This is such a common failure. Most people only plan the beginning. I'm going to invade this country. I'm going to start this business. They get excited about the launch. They don't think about the exit strategy.
They don't think about the unintended consequences, the second and third order effects.
The wise strategist thinks it all the way through to the conclusion. What are the obstacles? What happens if fortune turns against me? How will this end? And you stop when you reach the goal. You don't just keep going blindly because of momentum.
Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
This is the concept of sprezzatura, an old Italian word for kind of studied nonchalance. If you show all the sweat and the toil and the practice that went into your success, it makes you look like you're struggling. It breaks the illusion of genius.
You want to look like a natural.
Exactly. You conceal the tricks. You hide the thousands of hours of practice. You make it look like you just woke up and painted the Mona Lisa. It implies an innate superiority that intimidates and impresses others. Never show the plumbing, just show the water flowing gracefully from the fountain.
Part 7. Manipulation and control. Laws 31 through 36. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal.
This is the illusion of choice. It's a classic sales and parenting trick. You give people two options, but you win with either one. Do you want to do this on Monday or Tuesday? The option of not doing it is never presented.
If you can get a bird to walk into the cage on its own, it will sing that much more prettily.
That's the quote, and it's perfect. If people feel they chose their path, they accept it with far less resistance. But you've engineered the choices so that every path leads to the outcome you desire. It's the lesser of two evils strategy, and it's incredibly effective.
Law 32. Play to people's fantasies.
The truth is usually ugly and complicated. It's about hard work, slow change, and disappointment. People don't want to hear that. They want the oasis in the desert.
The sudden transformation, the magic pill, the get-rich-quick scheme.
And if you can promise that, even if it's a complete fiction, you wield immense power. Never appeal to reality when you can appeal to fantasy. Fantasy is what sells products, wins elections, and builds movements.
Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew.
Everyone has a weakness, an insecurity, a secret pleasure, a desperate need for validation. This is their thumbscrew.
How do you find it?
Greene says to look for childish behavior. When a grown person acts irrationally, when they get overly emotional about something small, that's usually where their deep-seated insecurity is. Once you find that thumbscrew, you can use it to control them. It is a lever. Press on the insecurity and they will dance to your tune.
Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one.
This is the self-fulfilling prophecy of body language and self-perception. If you walk around acting like a victim, with slumped shoulders and a weak voice, people will instinctively treat you like a doormat.
Dignity is a mask you have to put on.
It is, even if you're terrified inside. If you act with self-respect, if you act as though you are destined to wear a crown, people subconsciously start to treat you that way. You set the price tag for yourself. If you price yourself low, no one will ever pay more.
Law 35. Master the art of timing.
Never seem to be in a hurry. Hurrying betrays a lack of control over yourself and the time. You need to seem patient, like you have all the time in the world, even when you don't.
You're stalking the prey.
You're stalking the moment, and you strike when your opponent is least prepared, when they're tired or distracted. Timing is everything. It's not just what you do, it's when you do it. A good idea at the wrong time is a bad idea.
Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Paying attention to a petty enemy or a small insult gives it credibility. If you get angry, you're acknowledging that it hurts you, which gives them power.
So you have to feign contempt.
You act like it doesn't exist. It is beneath your notice. If you can't have something, a promotion, a person's affection, act like you never wanted it in the first place. It preserves your superior position. It drives people crazy when you simply pretend they don't exist. It's the ultimate power move.
We're getting close to the end now. Part 8. Spectacle and adaptation. Laws 37 through 42. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles.
Visuals overwhelm words. Words are forgotten. Images endure. You need to use symbols, grand gestures, striking imagery. create an aura of power through spectacle.
It's the dictator on the balcony with the flags and the cheering crowds.
Exactly. Or the CEO at the keynote launch with the giant screen and the dramatic reveal. The spectacle bypasses reason and goes straight for the emotions.
Law 38 is the ultimate social survival law. Think as you like, but behave like others.
This connects to the court attention law, but provides a crucial nuance. It's fine to have unconventional, radical ideas. But if you flaunt them in regular society, people will hate you. They will think you are looking down on them, that you think you're better than they are.
So you have to wear the mask of conformity.
You blend in. You behave like everyone else. Save your crazy, original ideas for your journal or for your closest, most tolerant friends. Don't be a martyr for your eccentricities unless you're prepared for the consequences.
Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish.
Anger is a powerful tool, but only if you are the one inducing it in others. If you get angry, you lose control. Your vision narrows. You make mistakes.
But if you can make your enemies angry,
They get blinded by rage. They act irrationally. They overreact. You stay calm, stir the water with a subtle provocation, and when they flail around in their fury, you catch them.
Law 40. Despise the free lunch.
There is no such thing as a free lunch. It's a fundamental law of power. If someone offers you something for free, there is always a hidden obligation, a string attached, or a trick.
So you have to pay the full price for things.
Paying for things keeps you independent and free of obligation. And more than that, be generous with your own money. Hoarding money signals insecurity and fear. Circulating money, being generous, signals power and confidence. Generosity is a magnet for allies. It buys influence.
Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
Legacy is a trap. If you follow a legend, a famous CEO, or a brilliant artist, you will live forever in their shadow. You have to do twice as much just to get half the credit.
You're always the son of or the new version of.
Exactly. Don't be a shadow. You have to establish a new identity, change course dramatically, even disparage the legacy of your predecessor if you have to. You must shine in your own way, not in their reflection.
Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.
In any group, trouble usually comes from one or two key people. The ringleader, the arrogant influencer, the loudmouth.
Don't waste your time trying to manage the whole flock.
No, that's a waste of energy and it never works. You identify and isolate the ringleader, you banish them or destroy their influence. Once the shepherd is gone, the sheep, the followers, will scatter or quickly fall in line. It's surgically efficient.
All right, the final stretch, part 9. Seduction and evolution. Laws 43 through 48. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others.
Coercion creates reaction and resentment. If you force people to do things, they will look for the first opportunity to betray you. The real art is seduction.
You play on their individual emotional needs and weaknesses.
You find out what they lack, attention, validation, a sense of adventure, and you provide it. You make them want to follow you. If you win their hearts and minds, they become loyal pawns who believe they are acting of their own free will.
Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect.
This is a deep psychological warfare tactic. If you mirror your enemy, do exactly what they do, mimic their strategy, they can't figure you out. It confuses and unnerves them. It's like they're fighting a ghost.
It can also be used to show them their own bad behavior.
Right. If someone is being aggressive or annoying, mirror them perfectly. It mocks them and infuriates them without you having to say a single critical word. It forces them to look at their own reflection, and they usually don't like what they see.
Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once.
Everyone says they want change, in theory, but in reality, humans are creatures of habit. If you change too much, too fast, you trigger fear and a violent backlash.
So you have to make it look like a gentle improvement.
You frame your radical change as a simple continuation of the best parts of the past. You pay lip service to tradition while you slowly and quietly alter it from within. It's evolution, not revolution.
Law 46. Never appear too perfect.
We touched on this earlier. Appearing to be without faults or weaknesses doesn't inspire admiration. It creates envy. And envy is a silent, corrosive emotion that creates secret enemies who want to see you fail.
So you have to admit to a harmless vice.
Exactly. Have a sweet tooth. Be famously bad at math. Show some small, harmless flaws so you seem human and approachable. It deflects the evil eye of envy. It makes people feel safe and superior around you, which lowers their guard.
Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, know when to stop.
This is the Napoleon law. This is the Hitler law. Success is intoxicating. You win one battle, and the adrenaline makes you want to win another and another. You overreach.
And that's when you lose everything. You get arrogant.
Strategy requires discipline, especially in victory. You must set a clear goal, achieve it, and then stop. Consolidate your gains. Do not let the emotions of the moment push you into a trap of your own making.
And finally, the ultimate law. Law 48. Assume formlessness.
This is the Bruce Lee philosophy. Be like water. If you have a rigid plan, you can be attacked. If you have a fixed shape, you can be broken. The enemy can study you and predict you.
So adaptability is the ultimate form of survival.
It's the ultimate power. Nothing is certain. The world changes in an instant. If you can adapt, if you can be formless and fluid, you cannot be grasped and you cannot be destroyed. It is the culmination of all the other laws, knowing when to use them, when to combine them, and when to discard them entirely.
Wow. Okay. That was intense. That was all 48.
It's a lot to process. It's a full download of the operating system of power as it's been practiced for millennia.
So let's zoom out for a second, because we have to ask, is the world really like this? Is it really this constant Hobbesian nightmare of a game?
That's the big question, isn't it? I don't think Greene is necessarily saying you should be a sociopath. I think he's saying this is how the game has been played for 3,000 years. You might not want to use these tactics, but you better believe someone out there is using them on you.
So it's a manual for defense as much as it is for offense.
Exactly. It's an amoral book. It doesn't care about right versus wrong. It only cares about effective versus ineffective. The mirror concept is key here. Predators read this book and find weapons. Victims read it and find shields. The book reflects the reader.
And there are those contradictions we talked about, right? Stand out versus blend in. Say less than necessary versus court attention.
There are. And that's the whole point of the final law. Power is about context. It's about being fluid. You don't use a hammer for every job. Sometimes you need to be invisible. Other times you need to be the brightest star in the sky. The final wisdom of the book is actually to transcend the laws, to internalize them so deeply that you can rely on your intuition in the moment.
Well, we made it. That was a marathon session of pure strategy.
It was. And I want to acknowledge you, the listener, for sticking with us. That was a dense download.
Absolutely. And I think the provocative thought to leave you with is this. The question isn't whether these laws are true. History pretty clearly shows that they are, that this is how power works. The real question is, now that you know them, what kind of person will you be?
That's it right there.
That is the question. And hey, speaking of feeding your brain with deep dives like this, if you survived this and you're actually hungry for more, that is your sign. You absolutely need to subscribe to Book Biters.
Do not hesitate.
Yeah.
It really is the place to be for this kind of material.
Go to Book Biters on YouTube and on Spotify. Hit that subscribe button. We have so many more books and podcasts to share with you, and you do not want to be the last one to know about them.
Don't miss out.
Thanks for listening. Stay formless.
Stay formless.
the